Hello everyone, Mark Major here. This is the Action Figuratorium. That is correct, you have arrived safely at the right spot. This is a second of a two-parter series in which I take an old school G.I. Joe Jeep called the Vamp and I refinish it. In my first video, I showed how to take it apart, which is pretty kind of essential to refinishing it, in my opinion. And so now the second half here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you guys the creative decisions I made when it came to refinishing the Vamp. So everybody, come on, just come together, strap on the leather, and hold on tight. So let's begin by cutting over to what we started with. This is the original toy that I picked up at Goodwill, and I want to show you guys on the other side here. Let's scroll around. How it had melted, right? It had been stored in a box in the attic by somebody. And it got really hot, and there was a toy on top of it. It was specifically the G.I. Joe tank called the Mobat, which, by the way, I also bought, which, by the way, still works. The Mobat melted into the top or the side of this thing with its tracks. You can actually see its tracks leaving its little mold mark there. So I thought, this thing isn't worth anything. Let's refinish it. Let's repaint it. My first video in which I took it apart, basically there's a tab, gets the two halves apart, and then some other pieces come off from there, and then you can start to paint it. So what I do is I start with this Rust-Oleum white primer that goes on plastic. It specifically goes on soft plastic that you normally can't paint on, like those squishy Barbie doll heads, fashion doll heads. You can paint this stuff on it first, and then you can paint on top of it. So what I do is I hit it all with this, after I've taken it apart and cleaned it, I hit it all with this white primer, and it's very chalky, and the key to this is several coats, if you can tolerate several coats, as well as let it dry. All right, let's move on to the two colors I chose. So we did a kind of a sand for the top part. I figured this could be like a desert vehicle. And then I did this real chocolatey brown that has a lot of red in it, and it looks kind of like Hershey's chocolate bar. In fact, the next one I do might be the top looks like that. That might be the way to go. Here is the other parts that I did in black, because I'm going to put some type of silver or chrome on top of them, and silver and chrome always looks better on black paint than white paint. So white primer, then the black enamel, and then we juice it from there. Okay, let's go right to the finished product. There it is, fully assembled and painted, along with first generation of sort of wear and scuff marks, keeping with, you know, let's make this a used universe. And you can see the wear and tear where the guys got in and out of the car all the time, where it's been beat up, they drove it around. And I think the next thing that's in the video queue here is, just another shot at the top. So the next thing in the video queue is going to be the best part about the Vamp, is what are we going to decorate it with? What kind of accessories are we going to put on the Vamp to make this thing look like it's worthy of cruising across the desert? So first thing we could do is, I've got this weird gun, okay? It came from the dollar store. It kind of fits in there. It's not great. You can see there's a little bit of struggle to make this thing work. But you could, you know, if it's your dog, you could, if you have to have a gun, people, you could use this gun. It doesn't look terrible, and maybe somebody could even fire it. I don't know. Let's move on to the next possibility. Let's go a little bit kind of more something along in the wastelands. Let's give the guy a gas tank, kind of Mad Max, and then let's give him a set of golf clubs. What about that? And maybe like a giant stuffed bear. What do you guys think of that? That could be a possibility, that you could cruise across the desert in that. Let's move on to something else we could put back there. Let's make this more of kind of a farm vehicle. What if we put, check this out, what if we do like a bucket, you know, like a milk bucket, and then some kind of bag of oats, and like a canister of milk. I don't know, none of this stuff stays there very well, so I don't know what kind of farm equipment we're talking about. But that's just loading it up with trash. Of course, if you take the turret thing, the gun, the mount off, you have a whole back platform you could use now. So you could put something like this, some Jabba's sail barge hookah pipe. Might be what powers your desert vamp. Or maybe something like this. This is some weird kind of claw that came off another thing that I own. I'd have to kind of drill the hole out bigger to make this thing work. It's just, you know, we're kind of spitballing, seeing what I got in the drawer and what we can make work. I don't know, the arm isn't really doing it for me. What about this generator? You could drive around and you could throw keg parties. You know, that could be your thing. You play tunes, you know, early AC/DC, that kind of stuff. What about the guy just drives around with like a big old rusty chain in the back of the car? Any complaints to that? Now would be a time to raise concerns. What about, yeah, the chains, maybe not. Or maybe, who knows, these little plastic pieces, they don't go back in very well. One went in okay, one's never going back in. What about this? What if we put some type of a wing or a foil, some kind of a kite system? I mean, it doesn't have to be red. If that's a problem, I will paint it to match. I just want to know if it's something worth taking my time to add to it, or are we saying no to that? So let's look at the front, okay? Some of you out there, I don't know who, some of you out there are saying, make it more like the current Hasbro G.I. Joe thing. Okay, here's a shovel and trenching tool. Here's a fire extinguisher. And then how about this? Something they don't do. A couple of ropes, huh? Did they add ropes? No, they didn't add ropes. I've already passed them. I've passed classified Vamp on the left, and they are not going to catch up. What about decoration? What about apocalyptic? What about making it look like it's in a parade? What about a dragon head on the front of this thing? Or if you're not down with this particular dragon head, maybe you just need a different dragon head. Maybe this is the dragon head that you want on your desert vamp. And again, you know, it could be colored, or maybe it goes with the wings. Maybe the wings and the red head, and I leave them as is. Don't know about that. Or maybe some people say not enough TIE fighter. Okay, sure, fine. We'll just put this down as a guard. Okay, so who's going to be in the vamp? Who's going to drive it? Well, I happen to have a couple of guys from Leonard. Here they are, these two dudes, and they're both in their weird desert camo. Got Boulder and whoever the other guy is, Scorpion or something. I don't know what his name is. So here they are, hot desert sun, with their desert vamp. And I think we're gonna stick with the golf clubs and the bear. Yeah, there we go. We got Officer Paunch and Officer Paunch 2, two Paunches on duty, both of them. These guys are probably a division of the other Space Cops team that I built out of Leonard Boulder figures, but you know, they definitely fill a special place in our heart. Yeah, there they are. Good-looking guys, good-looking vamp too, but you know, first version. So I'm going to say that that's about as much as anyone can take on refinishing a vamp. However, there will be leaks of various photos from the session onto the Instagrams and Twitter. You can see those accounts down here below. You're more than welcome to visit them, peruse the photos, the content, and follow along if you want. It doesn't cost anything. So with that, thanks to everybody who made it this far in the video, and, you know, stay charged.